I have got a PhD in life. I'm spending my whole weekend in my pajamas and I'm not doing shit. You don't pay my bills or suck my dick. So like, what do I care what some random person on the internet thinks of me? A new year, new me. You gotta have some fun. God, Tim, everything you touch just like is amazing. And I want to tell that person, no the fuck it's not. I'm only trying to make one fucking person happy, and that's Tim Castleman. Ready to roll, ready to roll, ready to roll. Tim Castleman here. Welcome to the latest episode of Tim Talks. Want to let you know from the beginning, this is pre-recorded. Then there's a reason why it's pre-recorded. Don't turn away. Listen to me. Listen. The reason why this is pre-recorded is because, and I'll just let you know, this was recorded November 21st at 9:40 p.m. Central Standard Time. The reason why this is pre-recorded is because tomorrow at some point I'm going to get up, I'm going to load my stuff, the last little bit of it, into a recreational vehicle, and then I'm going to begin the 25-hour drive one way to hell. I'm not kidding about the hell part, but I am making a journey, one that I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm not sure what to expect. Here's what's going on. At the end of that 25-hour journey, I will be face-to-face with a man who I have not seen in over 20-plus years, a man who I have not spoken to on the phone for the last several years, and a man who sends me happy birthday text via Facebook Messenger intermittently. And that man just happens to be my biological father. Now, my dogs are still in the background creating noise on each episode, so you know, despite being a dog lover, if I had a weapon and a silencer, I would just take care of them both. But I don't, so you might hear it in the background while I'm trying to have this Ricky Lake moment. This is what happens when you adopt a third dog. And you're like, you know what? I'll be nice. I'll do this. I'll do my part for your humanity. I'll rescue another dog. And then they just start fighting all the time, especially when you're on the phone or when you are trying to record a podcast. So I have no idea what the next several days are going to entail for me personally. I think I've done everything I can to make sure that the vehicle's roadworthy enough. Having a little water pump issue. I think there's a loose line. Going to have to get that fixed. But put a new battery in the RV. You know, just got it ready today. Got it ready, dusted it off so that I can begin the journey and the trek so I can get stuff, situated. What am I saying? So I can start driving to go meet my dad, who I haven't seen in 20 plus fucking years, and see what type, if any, relationship there is to be had before his passing and my passing, because we are getting older in this game of life. I mean, fuck, it's about to be 2023. This month's almost over. I feel like I blinked and this year just started. So, officially getting all the signs of being old and feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. And I don't know. It's been a weird year for that. I feel like I've definitely come out of my shell even more, which is great. But to the realization that 5 fucking years have passed and life has gone on for everybody while I've kind of been in a holding pattern trying to, navigate the last 5 years of happiness, right? The best 5 years of my life. And now I'm trying to have an adult conversation with someone that hasn't really ever seen me. Like, I'm going to have my first beer with my dad, if things go well, at some point during this trip. My first beer as an adult. I'm 40. By that time, I'll be 43 years old. Save the nudes, fellas. Save the nudes. Don't need you to slide into my DM on November 28th, trying to send me nude photos. Please do not do that, amigo. So I've done everything I can on the vehicle that I can personally do, to make sure that it's roadworthy to begin the trek. And instead of having 3 8-hour days of driving, and now I'm going to have a really long day tomorrow. I'm going to try and get, 10 to 12 hours of driving, which, it is, I'm not breaking big rocks into little rocks here. I'm just doing what I need to do. Well, Tim, why don't you fly, you ask? Well, because I don't want to be in control or let anyone else control the situation. if I get a flight there, there has to be a flight back, and that has to have a start time and a stop time. And if I'm miserable and I want to leave 10 minutes after arriving, and I go, well, if I show up, and there's, Donald Trump plateware, and I have to say the Pledge of Allegiance every time before I'm allowed to be excused from the table and, go pee, and, I'm peeing on little Obama placemats or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm walking into. But if I don't like it, what I don't want to do is go, well, in 4 days, this can all come to an end. No. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go out to my vehicle real quick. I'm going to go down and get a pack of cigarettes from the deal. I'll be right back. And then gone forever, right? Hopefully it doesn't come for that. What I'm hoping is I'll arrive. We'll keep it surface level. We'll have a beer, break some bread, and we'll just kind of see what happens. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll see if that works or if it's, this could be a total fucking nightmare. I'm doing this because my dad's going to die one day. And I don't want to be like, oh man, I should have given it one last shot. So this is in effect my one last shot to see if, hey, maybe as adults we can act like that and get along okay. And, maybe not just be DM buddies since, you contributed to my birth. I'm taking 2 of the 3 dogs because you can't leave a puppy just to fend for itself with a deer feeder like you can an old dog. It's a joke. I don't have a deer feeder. I do have an automatic feeder for them because that's how spoiled they are, a.k.a. that's how lazy I am. So, yeah. Taking off from Lubbock, Texas, driving all the way to parts unknown on the West Coast, knocking on a complete and total stranger's door. And then I think there's going to be some parading around where I have to go see family and, do all the things we hate to do as children of adults, where it's like, I don't want to go see these people, but I'm going to try and be nice and play nice and, for the family's sake, for the holidays. See how it goes. And let's just workshop this. All right? It goes 2 ways. It goes really good, or it goes really bad, or it could go in between, right? Okay. Best case scenario, right? Dad sits down, goes, hey, listen, let's have some really deep and profound conversations about things that, are from the past, and I get all the apologies and I'll do better, and, I'll make up, I don't even know what that would look like. As my dogs are, they're literally having a royal fucking rumble behind me. It's ridiculous. That's best case scenario. I go there, everything goes well. We talk about deep subjects. We connect. We do all that. I'm not pushing for that though, because I don't want to navigate into uncharted territories, especially upon arrival. I don't want to be like, Dad, son, let's talk about this issue. I think the best thing that I could hope for with this issue, is that I arrive, we have a couple days together, 3, 4, 5 at the most, with the possibility for another adventure together. The worst case is I get up there and go, okay, well, there was a reason why we hadn't talked in so long, and that reason was completely justified, or there's new reasons, and I feel completely justified cutting this person out of my life, forever, which I wouldn't do unless it was terrible, terrible stuff. What I mean by that is just keeping it at arm's way, being like, all right, well, we're going to be text buddies till you die. I guess that's what a child wants from its parent, to be like, hey, maybe we could, I don't know, text once in a while together. You think we could do that? Dad? It's not too much. Do you think maybe we could, slide in each other's DMs once in a while? Part of this was triggered by my aunt dying. Part of this was triggered by understanding that life is a fleeting construct of time, and, we all have less time than we think. Part of this is just part of being an adult and therapy and being like, all right, well, I have some preconceived notions in my head. Let's go see what reality is. And the hope that maybe, although we won't be BFFs forever, immediately, that, maybe there is some area for growth. I'm worried and concerned that as much as I love my parents, that both of them lack the ability to have deep and nuanced conversations about topics of mental health because that's not how they were raised, and that wasn't what they talked about and were talked about when they were. Hopefully, maybe by just observation, I'll get some insight into the world. Like, I want to know, like, how the hell did my parents meet? How did two, beings of dysfunction match and create new DNA of dysfunction? Want to kind of see what he's been up to for the last 20 years? I mean, last time I saw him, he was living in like not even a one bedroom, it was like a studio apartment. That was not great. It was not certainly where you lived when things were going amazingly well. And now, as I understand it, he's got a house and this and that and, all that good stuff, which is great. But I'd like to know how that happened. How did we go from a guy who didn't pay child support the majority of my life to like, oh, you have things now. You have properties. That's interesting. I had this sick thought. Not really sick, but just like a stupid thought. When I was a young teenager, I remember I went to go visit him on a work site. And I was sitting in the chair on the bed or something like that. And he was like, oh, hey, could you just move my jacket real quick? And of course I did. And when I did that, he had a Game Boy underneath there for me, brand new and all that good stuff. And I remember losing my mind over it. I was like, oh my God, I got a Game Boy. This is great. My dad got me a badass gift. Sick and crazy me wants to be like, hey, Dad, could you do me a favor? Could you go to Target? Could you buy me a Nintendo Switch? Like, I'll pay for it when I get there. But can we, like, recreate a positive memory in my life where I felt loved? My therapist, I'm sure, is loving this. When I told her about it. Excuse me. So, yeah, man. I mean, I don't even know what to really say about this. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I feel safe because I'm going to stay in my RV. We able to leave when I want to. Make sure I got plenty of money with me. My cell phone's charged, My battle buddy knows about it. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm doing everything I can to protect myself from disappointment and hurt. And like I said, do everything I can to ensure I get there safely, but also can leave it, like I said, leave it anytime. I've mentioned it several times now. You're like, we fucking get it, Tim. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd love to have a deep philosophical conversation with my parents on both sides. I don't think they have the capability for that. Not that there's anything wrong with them. That's just not something they were raised in. I think at this point of their lives, it's a little difficult to ask them to change, right? As I jokingly but not jokingly have said, the only thing that's going to change my parents now is death. Not negative, not trying to be an asshole, just based on what I've seen. I don't see I just don't see that change occurring. And in the past, of course, these are childhood memories when I brought up things like, so we have the Game Boy memory, right? And we also have this other memory. And that was probably when I was like 12 or 13. I don't know why or how, but I got the idea in my head that, damn it, I needed to buy a computer. And they used to have these things back in the day, children, called newspapers. And they even have these specific newspapers that were like online yard sales. It was Craigslist printed, basically. And there would be computers that you could buy for cheap. And, this is like in the black and white days or orange screen days type thing. And I remember the guy was selling one for a couple $100. And I was like, hey, I happen to know a guy, a.k.a. me, who has a couple $100 in savings bonds. So if I were just to go sell those savings bonds and sign them out, then I could take that money. I could buy this computer and we could see what happens. So I told my dad I wanted to do that. And that's when he informed me that I don't have any savings bonds anymore. He had been cashing them out to live. And when I questioned them about it, and granted we were in public at a mall, and as a child I just had questions, he was unable to look at it from my point of view. which is a nice way of saying, what about me, basically, is what he was asking when I was having this very traumatic moment in my life. Dad, why can't I get my savings bond? Why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, what about me? What about everything I've been through? What about, And again, these are memories of 25 years ago, so don't quote me on an exact dictation. But I hope to get a little insight into who my parents were, because again, I don't know how they met. I don't know shit about my parents. And I guess I'm at the age where I realize, oh shit, might want to start taking some notes. Because before too long, they're going to be gone. And you're not going to have a chance to ask those questions or just learn. So hopefully, it's not a Fox News-a-thon. We don't have to get up every day and we're not doing PT or anything. You know what I mean? Got to get up today and shoot the rifle, son. Kill them commies for Christ. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, Dad. Or, they're going to come over the wall anytime. I'm like, okay, Dad. All right. Listen, I got to go get some windshield wiper fluid for my RV. I'm just going to pack everything up like I'm leaving, but I'm not, and then just fucking skedaddle. And then I got to visit family that live there. And you ever have a side of the family where you see them like on the holidays, that's it? Well, that's what this side of the family is. It's like, hey, holidays, cool, great to see you. Hope to see you next Thanksgiving. That's the type of relationship these people, surface level at best. And that's going to be weird too. It's just weird. It's just like, hey, I haven't seen you in 20 years. Yeah, I haven't called you. You haven't called me. Okay. But maybe there'll be a parade of those people too. The more I think about this, the more I'm like, I have to get drugs. I have to find some low-dose edibles. That's just like, hey, can I tolerate my family on 2 milligrams and not make me sleepy, tired? Yeah? Great, let's do that. Yeah, wow. I don't know, I'm just thinking about all this shit. Kind of funny for the first time. I'm packed up, loaded. I got all my, like I say, everything all loaded, ready to rock and roll for tomorrow. And now I'm like, well, wait a minute. Am I going to see my crazy ass aunt or cousin? I forget what she is to me. Cousin? Who went severely off the deep end mentally? And when I mentioned that, by the way, to my father, I was like, hey, how's cousin so-and-so? Is she any better? Worse? What's going on there? Well, I just told her to get over it. Oh, okay. So the solution to our problem is we just need to get over these things, huh? Okay. Well, looky there. I didn't realize it was so easy. We can just kind of get over it. Some people say that shit out of ignorance. Ignorance is bliss sort of thing. Because I've had people make comments like, depressed people and people who kill themselves are pathetic and blah, 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 blah. I used to get upset about that shit. You want to engage in a conversation now? I just go, man. It sucks that actually, it doesn't suck. I'm happy for you that you've never had to experience that you've never had to experience depression or losing somebody you care about to suicide. Because if you did, there's no way you could be without empathy for their plight and situation. But I just think that now, and I don't say it. It's a close friend, great, It's kind of hard to educate my dad who diapered me to be like, Dad, this is how you should be, right? Again, love my parents. But sometimes a tree is just a tree. I forget what book. There was just a book when it was talking about people, and it was like, you need to look at people as trees. This is who they are. Do you love them exactly how they are? Because they're not moving, they're not getting replanted, they're not X, they're not Y, they're not Z. They're a fucking tree. I want my dad to be a fern. I would love my dad to be a fern. I don't even know what a fucking fern looks like, but you get the idea. It's not a tree. I'd love him to be a little bit more woke and a little bit more understanding and apologetic and deeply remorseful. And he probably is. But if his emotional IQ is stunted just like mine, there's no way he's going to be able to express that. And I'm so afraid of rejection that there's no way I'm going to be like a surgeon and go digging in that shit. right? Because I don't want to touch the nerve. I don't want to see my father cry in a food court in, like I was when I was a kid and pressed him on the savings bond issues. All right? I want to love my dad. I want to get love from my dad. I want us to have that dream relationship I think we all hope to have with, and like that was one thing I noticed about my ex-girlfriend was like she had a great relationship with her mom. And not saying I don't have a great relationship, but it was just different. And I was just like, oh man, this is new. This is unique. This is different. Dare we even say healthy? So I'm so scared of the rejection or feeling powerless that instead of flying 6 hours, I decided to spend, 3 days driving basically to get there in 25 hours. And I'm making this part of a trip instead of the whole trip. That way, if it sucks, I can be like, well, hey, you know what? Wasn't the only reason why I was coming to it, even though it is the only reason I am. On the way home, like I'll stop at a souvenir shop and be like, man, really sucked when my father and I just realized it wasn't going to work and we weren't ever going to be anywhere close to what probably either of us wanted in this relationship. But I did get a hell of a deal on some postcards while I was out there. And ain't they a beaut? I don't know what to do, friends, but this is what I'm doing. I will do my best to provide updates in the next podcast. If there is a delay in the next publishing of the podcast, that's why. And I think I'm going to just have to focus on what I'm grateful for, regardless of what happens on this trip. And I am so grateful and thankful that I have the amazing freedom to do something like this. And that I'm not having to ask for a boss for permission. I'm not having to ask a spouse. It's just like, hey, this is something I feel I need to do, and I'm going to go do it. And I have the resources to do so, and the time to do so, and hopefully it produces a positive step. But if it doesn't, I still got them motherfucking postcards. That's all I've got to say about that. Hopefully the dogs won't shit uncontrollably on the trip up there. They'll get along with each other and won't mind being confined to the RV for 90% of the time, making that noise, I'm sure. It's always good to try and puppy and potty train a new dog while on the road driving. And hopefully they'll make that lovely sound for hours upon hours while we're trying to sleep on the road. When I live like a vagabond in some Walmart parking lot. And hopefully I won't regret pushing myself way past my comfort zone and pushing myself away out there. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think I really had an upbeat podcast plan, but this certainly was the slow, easily listening podcast I had not planned. But I thought it was important to share with you as I take off tomorrow. Hopefully everything goes well. I get there, get back in one piece. Might have to record 1 or 2 podcasts from the road, depending on how long this road trip is. Probably only going to be one, because I think I have an idea of who I think I am on the road. And this trip will be like, yep, that's exactly who we thought we were, or nope, we fell for the van life. It's not even the van life thing. It's like, oh, we thought we would really enjoy this. Turns out this was a big effing mistake, and we don't want to repeat it. So let's not. A lot of questions are going to get answered in the next 2 weeks, whether I want them to be or not. And no matter what, barring any catastrophic incident, I will be back to share with you the dumpster fire, which is my life. It's not really a dumpster fire. We're slowly building it into a nice palace of flowers and love and acceptance. We shall see.